In this video, I'm going to do a basic analysis of Chapter 12 and show how it fits on a human life template. What I want to do is first talk about that human life template. I've been talking about, reading the material and trying to extract from that how it fits in our life. I'm going to reverse that in this video. I'm going to first, we're not even going to talk about the Bible, the patterns, any myths, religions, any of it. Buddha teachings, Lao Tzu teachings, none of it. Let's just leave it out and look at our own life, how our life came about. We're going to talk through how life works. And when you see this, what we're going to be able to do is take this step that we recognize as our own life sequence and then go see how they have structured stories to fit on that pattern right there. Except that these from Genesis are 6,000 years old. They're very foreign to us. So it's going to be weird. I realize what I need to do is let's talk about the basic template first. It's not a monomyth. It's a different kind of a template. My name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the video. This is an important one. If you're interested in what this is, you got to understand that billions of people have had this Bible and read this Bible and worshiped this Bible and don't see this. It's going to be some rare air if what I'm seeing is really there. And if you look at the patterns and analyze it and just keep looking at things and work it through in your mind, it eventually emerges. So let's talk about how we come about. Let's not even worry about the Bible. What happens when you're born? How does life work? Let's cover the basics. I've got it written down here. All right, just for the record, I'm going to suggest that there's different templates that are actually here. There's not just one. There's one down here I've got, you see, AKA monomyth. That everybody kind of knows what that one is, or they don't understand what it is. But that's only part. There's a creation template, then there's a human life template, then there is a human intermental path to emotional healing template. They're all mental templates. That's the one, that human intermental path to emotional healing template, that's the one that's been identified as the monomyth. But there's more to it than that. Okay, how do we come about? First of all, everything in the universe emerges in cause and effect. Everything is a product of something before it. Things don't just pop into existence. We didn't just pop into existence. We're a downstream iteration of things that are going on way before us. The only way the universe works is in cause and effect. To say otherwise is to say something just appears in a vacuum. Poof, it just pops up. Even when an accident happens, it's things in motion that are leading up to that point. We may not consciously want to be a part of it, but we're in a flow. So everything emerges in cause and effect, and everything repeats in cycles. Those are constants in the universe that we cannot get around, and our life is going to work with those if we understand them. Okay, we're born with certain fixed qualities. We don't have any choice over those. Our DNA, just all kinds of things. We have certain things, personality types, engineering kind of brains, and fighter type brains, and just different people with different things. Introverts, extroverts. Okay, and we live without memories and their resultant cognition. We're not self-aware. This is that time in life where we're babies. I know that I've been circumcised. I'm sure that I cried. I have no memory of it. I'm not aware of it whatsoever. There's a point in time in life where we don't have the mental development yet to be self-aware. This is the early stage. But from there, we develop from the infant stage to a happy, self-aware child with memories. That's the Adam and Eve at the start, where Eve emerges from Adam. This is where we are now. I'm not just that infant that doesn't know anything except I don't know anything. I just goo-goo and blah, cry, But you get to the point where you're now playing. You can ask for things. You do stuff like that. So there's a development point there where we are very young and self-aware. At this stage of life is ignorant bliss. This stage of life is ignorant bliss. Eden. We are spiritually uncovered at this point in time. There's a time in our life as we're looking at you as a child playing in the, playing or something. If your life was like that, you hadn't really judged life yet and become the product that you are. There's a point in time early on before you became what you are. Before I became what I became. Before we had our experiences and judged them and collected them and became products of those. In fact, try to put yourself in somebody else's shoes at some point in time. Think about a moment in your childhood where something happened and went bad. Imagine if you could yank yourself out of that before it happened and put yourself in some other environment that you're aware of, that you might go, God, I wish I had grown up in something like that, and imagine something like that instead, and imagine never knowing that, never experiencing it, never having it be a part of you, becoming completely something different. That at some point in time when we see that, what we begin to understand that there's reasons for that, and that is because we are becoming products of our judgments from where we're having our life experiences. No matter who you are, where you come from, that's what happens. But before we got there, we are spiritually uncovered, but we leave our home source and head out on our own in life. This is just, if you get to a point where you go, okay, I'm out, I'm living my life. We're going to live our own life, and in our own mental kingdom, with our own myriad of judgments. Our life now becomes ours based on what we observe, based on what we judge, based on what we experience. That's my kingdom. That's my earth. That's my world. We will live our first life through those judgments as we accumulate them. That's going to be later the eye of perception, the mote in the eye, that pile of judgments there. The stuff that's in the third eye that people think Kundalini clears out, all those hurt memories and things like that. Okay, and then they're based on our emotional state of the judgments of experiences, memory-based. Our emotional state in life is based on mental perceptions. And you know what? You can have different people raised in the same community, but different families where, one family is abusive and another one is very loving. And you're going to see that the children become products of those experiences. We're going to become products of our life experiences we're growing up. There's no way around it. If you're being told all kinds of things that you're horrible, there's a few rare people that are going to say, yeah, up yours. They're going to keep it in their head. But many people just fall into the trappings of childhood and never get out of it. We become products of all of those. Yeah, they're based on our emotional state. Our emotional state in life is based on the mental perceptions, and those continue to accumulate. They become very massive in quantity. They become lots and lots of judgments that we eventually are living through. All things good and bad are going to continue to emerge for us from our God source. Whatever is good, whatever is bad, everything comes from the same place. You keep living life going, God, I don't want this bad stuff to keep happening. Where does it come from? Yeah, the energy's there for it. It's a memory that we have to get rid of, or it's going to keep emerging through that cause and effect. We're also going to see that God physically leaves the scene in the stories. What this is that when we're that young self, we're living through our higher awareness, which means we're living happy, blissful, non-judgmental of things, but we're not aware of that. What we do instead is we go on and we begin to judge life, and we shift gradually from living from that higher awareness to living through the judgments and the memories that we have accumulated. That is where we're losing contact with the higher awareness. And in the stories, you will see God disappears and reemerges when it's time for the purging to happen. Or when it's time for the monomyth to start. Yeah, when it's time for that portion, when it's time for the inward healing path to start, that's where we know that we reconnect. That's where the Eckhart Tolle does that. I was sitting there at night, tossing and turning in turmoil, asking myself, who is this person talking? He's got an inner dialogue. I can't live with myself anymore. Life sucks. It's horrible. What is the matter? But he realizes there's a couple of people in there talking. What's the difference? And he begins to realize he can be living through his memories, or the higher awareness is there. That's exactly what the return of God is right here. Bingo. When it's time to, right here, if we were going up here, the human life template, God disappears. When does God reappear? When the human inner mental path to emotional healing template begins. The monomyth begins. That's when God returns. But God is going to disappear in this template and reappear at the start of this template. Going to Genesis, you'll find a simpler version. What you find is after the division happens in the Cain and Abel, and what that represents, an inner division, Cain and Abel. So in its simplest form, though, Cain is the one that destroys the other self. You're going to move on in that direction. Life is going to go bad, actually. The earth is going to have to be destroyed. So obviously the bad path has been taken. But at that point, God disappears from Cain and throughout the entire stories, the lineages, the Adam lineage, the people, going off and doing their jobs and things like that, learning things and life going on. Throughout all that period, God is not a part of the picture and does not reappear again until it's time for the calling. Noah, it's time for the flood to begin. That's when God returns. And the destruction happens and the monomyth begins. Bingo, you see it in its simplest form right there. We're going to see it right here as we get into chapter 12. God's going to disappear right off the bat. And if we looked ahead, it's a bigger version. Not until we get down to chapter 17, at that stage, when Abram becomes Abraham. That represents the next iteration of us. Abram, my early self. Abraham, my called self. And you'll notice that's when God physically reappears at that iteration point right there. Same thing. The higher awareness is reappearing when it's time to turn inward. And that's not actually an accurate way to say it. It's been there all along, talking to us all along. We have been unaware of it. It's that voice at night that tells you, shh, you gotta sleep. The one that feels disconnected, but we don't understand what it is. It's all the time trying to talk to us. When you're experiencing it mentally, you're outside of your emotions. You're looking at things from a detached perspective, from a larger perspective. The problem is we don't habituate that. We just tend to get sucked right back into the memories. And once we learn that and start practicing something different, we can escape it. But it's not an on-off switch. God is the creator of all things, including you. God is the all, the cosmos, whatever. Okay, so all things good and bad, for God physically leaves the scene. The inner self becomes corrupted through hurt judgments. We carry our pain. Yeah, we live in life now going, I hate this, I hate that, this happened, that happened. I'm ashamed, I'm in pain, I can't tell people this or that, or God, I hate this or that, or we become very complex. And we see cyclical pain as a result. We must move on to the next stage in life. And if you're looking at life in your own life, you can see that should be something that is kind of roughly the way life worked. That's exactly how it works. That's how the life comes about for anybody, no matter who you are. Now, they take that sequence right there and create a story on it. Let's look at that in chapter 12. I'm going to start there. Okay, I'm going to say that it's very important to note that at chapter 12 right here, they are starting one of the templates. They are not starting the creation template. What did we have over here? Let's go take a look at, hang on a second so I can switch over. There we have it, the human life template. Creation happened in the first part of Genesis, and then we had the Adam and Eve start the human life template. Since we had creation already happen in Genesis and Abrahamic material, it will not repeat. Creation template happens one time. That's why it's hard to see. It's very short and it's right up front. And the creation is teaching us that we're coming from the cosmos. We're coming from where everything, whatever happens for you in life is going to emerge from here. Good, bad, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's going to be your judgments. You come from here, you're in charge. You get to use life whatever way you want to. However, at first we're unaware of it. It's going to tell us that it's a mental process, that we've got that we have a flow in life based on the way that we've judged things, and that it's a mental process, and that we become products of that. All of that is in creation. As we get into other material, it's going to have things in there that teach cause and effect and stuff like that. But you have to know how to play the thing out in your mind in order to work it. It's very old stuff, and it's a lot more complicated than we give it credit for. Then the human life template is also short and not very common. What is common is the monomyth. That's where Joseph Campbell wrote his book, The Man of 1,000 Faces, or The Hero of 1,000 Faces. The inner mental path to emotional healing template. What we're going to be dealing with here as we go through this, we're going to go through the human life template when we start with Abram and Sarai. And then when Abram and Sarai in chapter 17 are called and changed, their name is changed from Abram and Sarai to Abraham and Sarah, God is going to reappear here, and that signifies the start of this template, this inner healing template, called the monomyth, but that's not the best thing to call it. But right here, we're going to start with the human life template. So I just wanted to point that out. All right, so let's jump right into Genesis then and take a look at chapter 12 here. Does it start like I say? Sure, let's take a look at something. Now the Lord said to Abram, get out of your country and from your kindred and from your father's house to a land that I will show you. So right now he's starting off calling Abram and telling him to leave his past behind and make him a great nation. What happens if we go up to look at what God told Adam? Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother. You're leaving your origins behind and cleaving to your wife. You're cleaving to your inner self. You're going to go off and live your own life. They shall be one flesh. That means my conscious and my subconscious are going to coexist. But at this point in time, everything was fine because they were naked and they were both naked, and his wife, and were not ashamed. We were not spiritually covered with anything. This is a very early time in life. We get back down to chapter 12, and what do we see? Now the Lord said to Abram, get out of your country and from your kindred and your father's house into a land that I will show you. Yeah, it's time for you to grow up and go live your own life now. And this is it, a great nation. That's your life. That's going to be the great nation. And I will bless you and make you a great name, and you shall be a blessing. Well, is blessing good or bad? It sounds like it's a good thing, but if you interpret it and call it an analog, you go, well, that means you're in charge. Guess what? If you don't like it, well, you're in charge. And I will bless them that bless you and curse them that curse you. And in you shall all families of the earth be blessed. I will bless them that bless you and curse them that curse you. And in you shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Let's go look at that on our Word document here. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. Down here we had number 11. All things good and all things bad will continue to emerge from this source. No matter what it is, I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. What was the other one? All families of the earth shall be blessed. All families of the earth are all of your, whatever it is that you do in life. Those are your families. You decide. You're in charge. You will bless everything that is there. And if you don't like it, guess what? That's how you blessed it. Blessing it is naming it. So Abram departed as the Lord had spoke to him, and Lot went with them. So we've got our division. We've got our Cain and Abel elements contained right there. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. I'll leave the numbering system out. It gets a little bit deep. This is a pure state. 70 and 5 are numbers collected. Sarai's name is repeated 17 times here. That gets too bleary-eyed for people, so I'll skip over that. However, if you saw it and understood what it was, you would know that what I'm doing here, what I'm pointing out here, is confirmed in a numbering system. Adam and Eve, day 7, which is repeated 3 times, but then that numbering grid builds up. We've got 70 and 5 and 17, that the numbers are going to be confirming the starting points or the stages. And as we go through this, we're going to see that we've got from 12 all the way to 50. Each one of those is a stage in life. So when we move along here, I'll just do them that way, chapter by chapter, stage by stage. Abram took Sarai his wife and Lot his brother's son and all their substance and all they had gathered and all the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land and they came. So we're starting off with all of our initial qualities. It would have been whatever Adam named. We're starting off with all of the things that we have to begin with, all of our, everything that we know, all of our knowledge, all of our qualities. But presumably they're all good at this point. And Abram passed through the land into the place of Shechem, into the place of Moreh, and the Canaanite was then in the land. And the Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, to your seed I will give this land. And there he built an altar to the Lord who appeared to him. So right here we have our inner self and the Lord still talking and connecting, but we're being told that this life that you're going to live is going to be yours. What is your seed? Your seed is everything you decide upon. Your judgments, your agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz. Yeah, all these things that we become. What are all the complex things that we become that we were not when we were young? That's your seed, and that's where all the land is going to be. But you need to build an altar at this point. This is a point we need to return to. You see number 7 right there? We need to get back to number 7. If you were comparing it to a Greek myth, this would be where you're going to go get the golden fleece. You're returning to this point right here. And he removed there from a mountain to east of Bethel and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Hai on the east. And there he built an altar to the Lord and called upon the name of the Lord. And, okay, right here, the Lord appeared to him. He called upon the name of the Lord after he built an altar. As you read through here, that's the last time the Lord appears to Abram. That's the last time the Lord appears to Abram. And of course, I mean as long as he is Abram. When he becomes Abraham, the Lord reappears at that point. So that's what we're looking for as far as the common elements. That's the higher awareness. We can work on that later. Right now, we're just looking at how the stories unfold. Okay, now this is only about 10 more verses, so I'm going to read it through, and then we'll just talk about a few things. And Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south. So we're moving along in life with all of our qualities. And there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land, or grievous. So this would be like being in the Garden of Eden and don't eat anything. There's nothing to consume. This is not about physical consumption, it's spiritual consumption. We're living in a place where there was nothing to learn, nothing to know. We needed to experience life. And it came to pass, when he was come near into Egypt, that he said to Sarai his wife, Behold, now I know that you're a fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see you, that they'll say, Wow, this is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save you. Say, please then, I pray you, tell them that you're my sister, that it might go well for me for my sake, for your sake, and my soul shall live because of you. And it came to pass that when Abram had come to Egypt, the Egyptians beheld the woman, and she was very fair. The princes of Pharaoh saw her, and commended her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he entreated Abram well for her sake, and he had sheep and oxen, and he-asses, and manservants, and maidservants, and she-asses, and camels. And the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is this that you've done to me? Why did you not tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she was your sister, so that I took her for my wife? Now therefore, behold, take your wife and her, and go your way. And Pharaoh told all of his men concerning him, and they sent him away and his wife and all that he had. Okay, so first of all, questions you have to ask right off the bat is, okay, so you're telling me God created the entire universe, the entire world, all of mankind. Then he finally calls somebody, and he can't even put him someplace where there's food. He puts him in a land where there's a famine, and then just says, I'll bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. I'm out of here. And then just takes off. Later, what happens, though, after his chosen person says, I'm so scared, I'm going to give my wife up to somebody else. He does. Wow. But Pharaoh's so happy, he gets slaves and animals, or servants. They didn't say slaves, it's servants. Whatever that means, servants and animals as a result. And however, what happens is that plagues begin. So God doesn't come back and prevent anything. He doesn't put them where there's food to begin with. He waits until the deed is done and then goes, oh, I'm going to send punishment after the fact. I'm not going to go there and interrupt it. I'm not going to stop it. I'm just going to, after the fact, send some plagues. I look at all this and go, something is wrong with this story. It's not an okay story for me. It means something different. And then Pharaoh finds out that they're lying. Pharaoh's the good guy and says, what? You guys lied to me. Take your wife, take your goods, and get out. Everybody else will let him go. Okay, so when you look at the story and you understand it, let's go take a look at a couple of things back on our life chart that we made here. Okay, so there's a stage in life, ignorant bliss, Eden. We were spiritually uncovered. This was when we got put into Canaan with nothing to eat. We were told to leave our home source and head out on our own life. We're going to live life in our own mental kingdom with our myriad of judgments. We're going to live our life through those judgments as we accumulate them, the eye of perception. They are based on our emotional state of the judgments of experiences, memory-based. Our emotional state in life is based on mental perceptions. Okay, so what is happening right here in the story is this. We went on to a land where there was life experiences in Pharaoh. Pharaoh represents going on to having life experiences. We first live life through those judgments and we accumulate them. We're going to live life in our own mental kingdom with our myriad of judgments. That's us going off and experiencing life with Pharaoh for a time frame. And to interpret that, there's something very literal to that, what that means right there. It means, think back on your life. Right now you're looking for answers. You're turning inward and going, oh, there's something to this. However, from the time you began to have that cognition up till this point of turning inward, we did not live that way. We're living something different. Pharaoh represents that point in time in life where you are living unaware of the fact that we're becoming products of the memories and the experiences and the manner in which we're judging them. That's Pharaoh. Pharaoh is not an individual. Pharaoh is a concept. It means this point in time in your life where you're living mentally unaware. What people would say blind, but that's analogous. Psychologically blind, mentally blind to the idea that you're becoming products of what you're continually judging and hanging on to. And if you want to become free of it, you got to let go of it. Pharaoh's the early part. The like serpent was first sin, but that would continue on. We continue to make those judgments. God is the higher awareness. We're not connected with it at this time. What happens when the plagues come? That's cyclical pain. Where do we have it? We see cyclical pain as a result. What happened here? All good things and bad things continue to emerge from our God source. Yeah, I'll make good things and bad things. All of it will happen. I'll bless it all. God physically leaves the scene. Yep, God left. The inner self becomes corrupted through hurt judgments. We carry our pain. That is Sarai being given to Pharaoh. The corruption is there, and we are now carrying our pain. We're carrying the servants, the animals, the things. Those represent something that we have gathered as a result of this union. And we see the cyclical pain as a result, and we move on to the next stage in life. That's with Pharaoh telling us, okay, get lost, get out of here. Do you see that's what's happening? The story's not a true story. If it is, it's like, I don't like that. Yeah, you guys worshiping that stuff? Those are low values. Question it. There's something else in there. Recent video, don't add or take away. People will sit here with this part here and go, was there a sexual union between the two? What does it say in the book? What does it say in the Bible? Does it say there was a sexual union or not? No, leave it out. Don't even consider a sexual union. If you're trying to do that, then you're trying to interpret it as a physical verse, as a real verse, as a historical verse, instead of the metaphorical verse that it is. It represents something else. Sarai was the inner self. Pharaoh represents a life experience. We now got corrupted. We're moving on. That's the pattern right there. That right there is the beginning of the human life sequence. We're going to go through a division and other things next video. I'll go ahead and end it on this one, though. Questions, comments, feel free to put it below. This time it's inside out, isn't it? I don't know if you can see it. The story components are 6,000 years old, being built on the idea that this is how life comes about. And that we hold on to these things and we become corrupted in life and we move on with that pain, trying to figure things out as we move along in life. There's nothing different. We're living the same way they were. We just have a lot more stuff to keep us so busy we can't figure this out. All right, see you in the next video.